Welcome back to my podcast. In this segment, I want to talk about this question. Is getting married necessary anymore? The younger generation is asking this question on a grand scale. And I think it's only going to become more and more prevalent that the younger generation is questioning, should we even get married? Let me read a few statistics and help contrast 50 years ago to now. Cohabitation in America in 1970, there were 500,000 people that were cohabiting. And in 2020, there were 9 million. Let me say this again. So in 1970, there were estimated 500,000 people cohabiting. In other words, not married, but cohabiting as if they were. And in 2020, there were 9 million. Okay? Unmarried births. So children that were birthed to an unmarried couple. In 1980, 18% of births in America were to a couple that was not wed, not married. And in 2022, 41% of the births in America were to couples who were not married. And the trend is sort of telling us that it won't be long and 50% of all children born in America will be born to couples who are not married. The divorce rate. In 1950, it was estimated that the divorce rate was nearly 20% of couples. And in 2022, it's estimated that of those who do marry, 50% end in divorce. With all of these statistics, you have to ask yourself, what's going on? What's going on in our culture? I remember I was in my office working one day and the FedEx guy came into my office to drop off a package. And he asked me this question. He goes, what do you guys do here? The name of your business is Dare to Be Different. What is that? And my simple answer was, we help marriages stay together. And he laughed. And he was a younger guy. And he looked at me and he goes, why? Just get divorced and don't get married again. And he sort of snickered and walked away. That's the attitude. That is the attitude of the younger generation. That is the attitude of our culture. Get divorced, don't get married again, or don't get married at all. And listen, if as an adult that's the path that you want to take, I get it. That might be, in my view, that's a selfish path. It's a short-sighted path. But listen, this is what I wanted to say to the FedEx guy. What about children? What about the well-being of children? What about the future? What about the morale? What about morals? What's the negative impact of these statistics that I've read? Because here's a list of benefits when a husband and a wife, they get married and they have children. When there's a biological father and mother in the home, especially in wedlock. And I'm going to read these benefits to you very quickly. Number one, you have healthier children. Statistically, when children are raised in the home of a biological mother and father who are married, they're more likely to achieve higher levels of education, less likely to become teen parents, less likely to experience health and behavior and mental health problems. They have lower levels of depression. I mean, these are statistically proven over and over and over. These aren't even arguable. Another benefit when you get married is you as an adult, you have a lower level of depression. These are all statistics. You have a lower level of depression when you're married. And of course, if you're married you're in a relationship that's not a high intense conflict relationship. So you could say, well, hey Matt, what if you get married and you hate each other? Okay, I get that, but let's park that for a second and let's just talk about the average marriage. Yes, they have issues, but their issues are on a low scale of intensity and they live a long, happy life. So let's not go to the extremes of two people who hate each other's guts. We'll get back to that. On average, married couples have more income. That's a benefit. You also get many tax benefits, Social Security benefits, and health benefits. It's also statistically proven that you eat better, you make better choices regarding your money, regarding alcohol and drug usage, and making risky choices in life. Marriage helps you avoid a lot of stupid decisions. The next one. It decreases sexual promiscuity, which offers you a healthier life and avoidance of all kinds of physical, health-related, mental, psychological issues by having a sexual promiscuous lifestyle. Okay? You're able to take on life with someone who is your ally. When you're married and you're in a decent marriage, you have an ally. You have a sounding board. You have a partner. You have somebody who's there every day for you, in your corner. One of the scholars said this, I love this, his name is C.S. Lewis. He says, there is a deeper and quieter love that you'll find later on in marriage, a covenant union, a loyalty, but there's a deeper, quieter love that you're going to find somewhere in the second half of your marriage, here it is, that far exceeds any other kind of love you'll ever experience. More than infatuation, more than sexual desire, more than the newness of a relationship. There's a deeper, quieter love that you'll find in the second half of a marriage that is so beautiful and so powerful. As you look over your shoulder and you see all the turbulence that you've overcome, you see all the life stuff that you've overcome, and you're standing there hand in hand with your life mate, there's a sweetness to that that you cannot get anywhere else. It's beautiful. Biblically, you receive God's blessings and protection and health and wealth and identity and a lack of loneliness and contentment. Biblically speaking, when you do it God's way, you do marriage God's way, there are all kinds of benefits. You also receive a benefit in an accomplishment in rearing your children together, and your own self-worth increases. And if you're in a long, turbulent series of broken relationships your whole life and you never marry, hard to feel a sense of accomplishment. You might feel an accomplishment as an individual. And lastly, a loyalty and a covenant to a marriage provides character, integrity, longevity, along with self-worth and a serious sense of accomplishment. These are benefits. And now I want to read to you a scripture to sort of seal the deal. Deuteronomy chapter 11. In verse 18, these are God's words. God says, fix my words, fix these words, my ways. God says, fix my ways in your hearts and in your minds, and tie them as symbols on your hands, and bind them on your foreheads. Teach my ways to your children. And talk about my ways with your children when you sit at home and when you walk along the path with your children, and you lie down and you get up, and write these ways on the doorframes of your houses and on your gates, so that your days and the days of your children may be many in the land the Lord swore to you to give to your ancestors, as many as the days that the heavens are above the earth. So if you faithfully obey these commands I'm giving you today, to love the Lord your God with all your heart and serve Him, then I will send rain upon your land in its season, both autumn and spring, and all the rains, so that you may gather your grain with new wine and olive oil. And I'll provide grass in the fields, and cattle can eat, and you will eat, and you will drink, and you will be satisfied. This is God's promise, that if you do it His way, He's going to bless you beyond measure, and your children, and your children's children, and your children's children's children. Wow. That's why marriage is so important. I want you to realize that marriage is far more than just a marriage. It is a platform that God builds for His glory to reign, for His calling on your life, for His calling on your unborn children and their children, to flow generation to generation to generation. It's a big deal. So the answer to the question, is getting married necessary anymore? Yes. Marriage really matters. Do it God's way. He will bless your land and your children and their children. And I mean, how wonderful does that sound to you? It should wake you up today. And I want you to know that on the other side of this is joy. I didn't say it would be easy. Not every day is going to be great. You're going to have conflict. You're going to have fights. You're going to have moments you might question marriage. Everybody has those moments. But the covenant and the loyalty bring a benefit to your life that you almost can't measure. And there's a point you look back and you'll see the value of a covenant, a commitment, a loyalty that you held fast to your whole life. And when you get older, you can get out a blank sheet of paper and a pen, and you can start documenting the benefits, because there are many. I hope this podcast encourages you. I hope this segment inspires you. I look forward to seeing you in our next segment.